Audio Jungle.
Welcome to DivTech 101, aka Black Manta, as we discuss information technology, also known as IT. In today's episode, I'm going to be showing you how you can terminate your RJ45 ends on your Cat6 cable so that you can work on projects like this. So let's go ahead and jump right into it, people. So I have this really cool punch down tool, and I also have this really cool crimping tool as well that you can use to cut your cables and crimp your cables and all as such. Now, this little box came with a standard small pocket size punch down tool as well as some pass-through Cat6 RJ45 jacks, but I'm going to place those aside just for a moment. I'm going to grab a couple of tools that you'll probably used to seeing around. Got your little basic cutting and punch down tool as well as your untwist tool, and then you have your two different types of crimping tools and your untwist tool and your punch down tool. So what I have in front of me is my Cat6 cable, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using my cutter. Now I can use the cutter on this all-in-one tool that I have here, but I'm basically going to use this rather than scissors. Scissors will cut the pairs of the cable by accident and cause them to snap, but if you use a standard wire cutting tool, it will cut just enough where you can pull and break the sheathing for an even clean break. Now there are five things in here. You have your 4 pair of cables or your 8 wires in here, plus this little sheathing that feels like hair, but basically you can use that and twist it around like a tool, like a screwdriver or something. You can actually pull that down to trim your cable back more if you need to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my untwist tool. Now indeed I've been doing this for a number of years where I can basically use my fingers to untwist, but this tool comes in handy. It's pocket size. You can keep it in your pocket and in your toolkit. But I'm basically going to be untwisting these cables so that I can get them even, or I can slide them through the connectors. Now there are different sets of wires in here, and we'll go over those shortly. So as I'm pulling my wires apart, I'm separating them down and spreading them out. Now you have, like I said, 8 pieces of cable in here, or 4 pairs. The pairs come in white, orange, orange, white, green, blue, green, white, brown, brown. And you have to be sure that when you are putting these into the RJ45 connector, that you are using the correct color code for the T568B on both ends. So if you don't do that, you will have some connection issues. Now, I have a lot of experience doing this from basically patching the cables, making these any length that I need from a standard box of cable. And here's my connector here. Now, I prefer the closed end because that way you can cut your cable just enough to push through. Now, the new style is the pass-through, which means that you can cut the cable any length as long as it's long enough and longer than the connector. You can slide it through the connector, and then you can use the crimping tool in order to cut the cable on the ends. But I don't like using those personally because sometimes they don't terminate right. I prefer just to go ahead and use the closed ends. But for the sake of this video and showing you some new stuff, I'm going to be using the open end. Now, as I'm trying to make sure that I have all the cables and putting them in the correct order for termination and cutting, I must say that you want to definitely make sure you got the right length. Now, having the incorrect length here is definitely a big deal. Now, you have to keep in mind that when you're plugging this cable into the connector, if it's a pass-through, it doesn't matter how long it is, as long as it's longer a little bit more than a few inches. But if it's not a pass-through, I will probably make it a little bit longer than my thumb's length. But I'm going to go ahead and cut a little bit of it off. Like I said, I've been doing this for a while, so I kind of can almost do it almost perfectly each time. But I'm not as perfect like that, but still been doing it for a while anyway. But as you're going to see, is what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go ahead and make sure those are straight. Now, as you push these in, sometimes the wires will cross. You just have to, before you crimp it, you want to check your wiring. Once again, the wiring is white, orange, orange, white, green, blue, white, blue, green, white, brown, and brown. Now, looking at my connectors, I did have to pull mine off once because one of my cables did cross as I'm trying to make sure that they don't come out of order. Um, it happens to the best stuff is just pull it out before you crimp it. But before you do so, make sure that your cables are in the right order. The flat side without the little tongue piece should be facing down. So when you're looking at your cable and you want to look at the color code, you want to make sure that you're looking at the flat side of the connector and not the side that has a little push down button on it. So if you're looking at it with the flat side, you will have the white orange on the left and your brown on the absolute right there. I'm going to go ahead and place the end back onto here. And then once I have it on there, I can also use my crimping tool while holding the blue piece in my hand on the left or whichever side you are. You can push it down and then crimp it. Absolutely triple, quadruple check and make sure that your color scheme is correct. Now on this particular blue tool, make sure that you press the lock button out to unlock it, because if not, you will not be able to crimp it. But I'm going to use my other tool here and I'm going to crimp down as I'm pushing up towards it, and I'm going to push it a few times, make sure it is all good and tight. And then you should be able to just pull it directly out, get your perfect crimping there. But people, that pretty much wraps up on today's video on how to use the networking tools such as your crimping tool, your cutting tools. So hope you like, listen, and subscribe to the channel. Black Mantle, aka DaVinci Technologies, DevTech 101. Look forward to bringing more technology content to you all soon.